questions to ask throughout a campaign with the confidence rising. I told WDF don't switch, good times are coming, don't even deep diving. Fan cams, reactions, watch along, still the pride of London thriving. The Eagles of South, they flying. Keep your eyes on us, we ain't hiding.
Yes guys, welcome back to Transfer Weekly episode 12, the show where I tell you all about all the rumours of players potentially coming in and leaving Crystal Palace in this summer window. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about 2 strikers and a potential goalkeeper. Also guys, please remember to check out the shorts as we try to post daily on those. And yeah, let's get straight into the video. Dean Henderson, the 26-year-old English goalkeeper that currently contracted to Manchester United. He's had multiple loan spells away from the club, but unfortunately he's never really got his chance at Manchester United. He's been loaned out to Stockport, Grimsby, Shrewsbury, Sheffield United for 2 seasons in a row, and Nottingham Forest. The most notable time away was probably his 2 years at Sheffield United, because he was very influential in their time in getting into the Premier League, and he was also probably their driving factor of keeping them guys in the Premier League after their first season. Unfortunately, he didn't go back, they didn't sign him. He went back to Man United, and everyone thought that after those incredible seasons that they thought he was going to get his chance next to David De Gea, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. He never really got his chance. He was spent 2 years on the bench and never really got a chance to play for Manchester United. He came through their youth academy, and it's a bit upsetting to see that he wasn't really given a chance for his boyhood club. Obviously, after those 2 years of being on the bench, he went to Forest, and he wasn't the best keeper in the world. He's a bit rusty. You could see that there's still talent there, but he was nowhere near that spot of even first-team goalkeeper at Forest, and let alone challenging De Gea for the first-team spot at Man United. It just wasn't going to happen. As he was at Forest, here are some stats. With 18 starts and 18 total appearances in the Premier League, he conceded 1.7 goals per 90, which isn't the best in the world because Sam Johnstone only conceded 1.1 per 90. With 31 goals conceded, 19 from inside the box and 12 from outside the box, so he's not the best at saving long-range efforts. He has made 55 saves and with a 57 pass completion, which also isn't the best. Sam Johnstone's is 70%, and that does take into account short and long passing. So, you know, you can take that with a grain of salt that maybe maybe Nottingham Forest pass along out the back a lot more than we do, but still 57% really isn't the best. And he only had 6 clean sheets. You know, that's not the sign of an informed goalkeeper. However, when he was at Sheffield United in the Premier League, he only conceded 0.9 goals per 90, which in that Sheffield United team is an absolutely outstanding stat, with 13 clean sheets throughout the whole season. But listen, those Sheffield United stats are from a completely different player to that Nottingham Forest player. As we can see here, he doesn't get injured too much, but he's a bit like Wilf Zaha, where he gets 1 injury a season, but when he does get injured, he's out for a pretty long time. Also, the wages for him being a keeper is absolutely outrageous. A keeper on 100 grand a week, who's also not as good as Sam Johnstone, paying 100 grand a week for, you know, someone who's going to be second fiddle, and it's just not feasible for Crystal Palace to pay that much money for someone of his quality. Maybe when he was at Sheffield United, you could have a different argument, but right now he's not that same player, unfortunately. I think the best case scenario would be that we keep Sam Johnstone, we keep Joe Whitworth, we don't send him out on loan. I'd have Joe Whitworth over Remy Matthews as our second goalkeeper. He didn't disgrace himself against Brighton and when he had his Premier League starts, and I'd much rather use that extra 100k a week that we potentially could have paid for Dean Henderson on Eze's new contract. Stick him on another 100 grand a week contract, the same as Elise, and I want to see those two ball out together. Kelechi Iheanacho, the 26-year-old Nigerian striker that currently plays for Leicester City, he's played in the Premier League for a really long time. He got his debut in 2014 and then started playing more regular football at Manchester City in 2016. He started his career at the TEI Academy in Nigeria and then moved to Manchester City in the 2013-14 season. He took his time to develop his craft in the Man City Youth Academy and also developing under managers at Man City like Pellegrini and eventually Pep Guardiola. Over that time, he's become a very comfortable striker, and he's always had a purple patch in every single season that he's played in. He might do not a lot for a little punch of the season, but then you have a purple patch where he scores 5 in 5 or 6 in 6 and have a really good end to the season. He's always been a very good player. He's always been a player that Palace have had an eye out for. If I believe so, that we were eyeing him up as well when we were looking to purchase Benteke. So we've been hearing around that kind of player, and, we could see it happening now. A few years too late, but, it could happen. He's a forward that can do it all. He's versatile, but not really versatile, where he can play multiple positions. He can play as a striker and more of a right winger, but other than that, he doesn't really play much else. But he can do it all. He can press, he can play out wide if he needs to, he can drive with the ball. His hold-up play is really good, like his one-touch passing, touch and spin, like he can do everything, and he's got a really good shot on him. Great power, can shoot from really tricky angles, and can still find the ball in the back of the net. Let's go through some stats for Iheanacho last season. With 11 starts and 28 total appearances, he scored 5 goals and got 5 assists, with 1.4 shots per 90 and 0.9 on target per 90, with 6 big chances missed, so he probably could have scored 6 more goals, which would have tallied him to a total of 11 goals per the season, and with 7 big chances created, which probably means he would have got 7 assists, but he still got 5, so his teammates were helping him out there. 77 pass completion rate for a striker is actually very good. I'm very impressed with those stats. It wasn't the best goal scoring season for him, but it's still 10 goal contributions, which is better than both of our strikers done last season. However, I am going to look at one of his better seasons in the 2021 season. He got 12 goals and 2 assists. He scored an incredible brace against us in that season at the King Power, and ever since then I think all Palace fans have been keeping an eye on Kelechi Iheanacho. As we can see, this player doesn't get injured very much. The Nigerian international seems like the perfect target for Crystal Palace, because normally we look at very injury-prone players, and it's a rarity that we don't look at injury-prone players, and it's a nice little change. Also, his contract expires at the end of next season. This will mean that Leicester will either have to sell him now to get any money back, or they will need to put him on a new contract, or they will need to run the risk of losing him on a free transfer. They purchased him from Manchester City for £23 million, and due to them getting relegated, unfortunately, into the Championship, he has wages of 80 grand a week. And in the Championship, that's going to be very hard to keep up. I don't know if he's got a relegation clause where that price will go down, but I'm just going to assume that he's still getting paid that 80 grand a week. It's going to be hard for them to keep it up, and they'll probably need to sell to get those wages off the books. The same thing how they've done it with Harvey Barnes and James Maddison. This is where we can come in and match those wages, potentially even give them a small pay rise, depending on how generous we're feeling. But with Mateta potentially going to Leipzig, as we've rejected their first proposal of 8 million, they're supposedly coming in for an £11 million bid, and that would potentially mean that we'd only have to fork out an extra £6 million for Kelechi Iheanacho, and because his contract's running out and I don't want to lose him as a free, we could get him on a cut price. I think £15 million wouldn't actually be too outrageous to think of, with 1 year left of his contract and them struggling to pay his wages. Honestly, for only £6 million for a player of that quality to get his service, that is one of the deals of the century. And granted, it's 1 out, 1 in, so it's still £15 million. But to lose Mateta, I'm going to miss him. Even though he wasn't the best player in the world, he showed passion. I'm still miss him. But to get Iheanacho in and him out, it's going to be a huge upgrade to our team. This deal's hard to refuse, but it'll be a great addition to Crystal Palace's front line. Finally, Emmanuel Dennis, a 25-year-old Nigerian striker, which currently plays for Nottingham Forest, is not currently getting much game time at the club that he plays for. He started his career in Abuja College and was picked up by Zoraya Lugansk. After spending a few years there, he went to Club Bruges, which then he had a loan to Cologne, and then was finally sold off to Watford. Then he finally ended up at Nottingham Forest after only one season. Dennis really fits the criteria. He can play left wing, striker and right wing, so this versatility thing that Dougie's been going for is really working out with a player like him. He can play in multiple positions and is comfortable in all those positions as well. At Watford, he played in all those positions and was scoring goals consistently. For a player like him, he's got many attributes which will benefit Palace. He has got a great variety of shooting where he can shoot finesse shots, power shots, and get many volleys on target. He's got an extremely quick burst of pace where he can pick up speed fast, and also he can run fast on a long distance as well. Quick feet, lots of flair with skills and showing lots of confidence when on the ball. His heading is actually really good. He can jump really high, similar to Lerma, and he's just a very hungry player. He always wants the ball, he's hungry to score goals, and he's seriously direct when he's on the ball. He doesn't mess around with the ball, but he just wants to get in there and score goals. Crystal Palace have shown interest in him ever since he was at Watford, and it looks like we've come back in for him again. He's only been at Forest for one season, and it's rumoured to be that this move is fully instigated by Roy Hodgson. This because when he worked with him at Watford, he was extremely impressed with with his ability, with his work ethic, and he wanted to work with him again. Apparently, he's got a pretty bad attitude problem, but I'm sure of how Roy is with his players, that he's very calm, very collected, and he will be very good to him, and I think he could sort out that attitude problem, and I don't think that would be a problem for Crystal Palace if he came to us. Let's talk about some stats. Last season at Nottingham Forest, he had 6 starts in 19 total appearances, only scoring 2 goals and getting 2 assists. However, in the 21-22 season, where he played for Watford, only the last part of the season was under Roy, bear in mind. However, during the whole season, he got 30 starts in 33 total appearances, with 10 goals and 6 assists, 1.8 shots per 90 and 0.8 was on target, with 5 big chances missed, so he could potentially have scored 15 goals that season, and with 7 big chances created, which means he probably could have got an extra assist to his tally. 68% pass completion, which has gone down actually with a better season, but he's not really a passer. He's there, he drives with the ball, and he creates chances. So passing, he really does make just risky passes and passes trying to penetrate the back line. So it's understandable why a player like him would have such a low percentage. With 1.5 tackles per 90, which I'm actually really shocked at, shows that he had that defensive work rate as well, which we really need. So potentially he could be a sort of Ayew kind of player where he will track back, he will defend, and he will start driving with the ball. And the defending from forward players and how we play now, we press, we defend from the front. Having a player like that with those kind of stats just shows he is the exact fit of a player that we need. He did get 7 yellows and 1 red card. Obviously, things happen on football pitches, and that attitude problem may come into effect here. But I'm sure with Roy Hodgson, that will go out of the window. The only reason why I say that is because under Vieira, Decore got a yellow card every game. Under Roy, he didn't get a single yellow until we played Arsenal yesterday. So, it is what it is. As we can see, another Nigerian striker and another striker that is not very injury prone. I'm still happy that we're looking at this, and I'm very happy that this seems to be another one of our deciding factors when looking at players. Unfortunately, we've seen how it goes with injury prone players such as Richards, as he really hasn't got the chance, or his body hasn't let him prove himself at Crystal Palace, and it's just unfortunate because we know how good of a player he is. However, back to Dennis, he's only being paid 40 grand a week at Forest. We could easily swoop in there. I wouldn't say double his wages, but we could definitely give him a pay rise. Palace play very, very well, and I'm sure that would be enough to tempt him away from Forest. While he will come to us, and we have França already to play in the similar position that he will play in, if he does play on the wing, but if he plays up front, he'll be in direct competition with Edouard. He will get the game times, and he will come in right now and start playing football. It will be a thing of França will potentially come through and maybe take his position, but he will come in and he will 100% get game time. Same thing applies with Iheanacho, with Mateta. If Mateta goes, we probably have exactly enough money for Dennis, but we might have to put in a little bit more. Forest bought Dennis for 12 million from Watford, and if I'm honest, I think that we could probably offer about 14 million and Dennis would be let go from Forest to come to Palace. I think they'd be a bit stupid not to accept it. He's a player that doesn't really play much, and they're going to make £2 million profit in one season. This would be an absolutely incredible signing for us, and I think Dennis is a Palace player through and through. Yes, guys, that's all for today. Please tell me in the comments below who you'd rather. Would you rather Emmanuel Dennis or Kelechi Iheanacho? Personally, for me, it's tough because they're both good players, but in an ideal world, I would have both. I'd have Kelechi Iheanacho as a straight contender for Edouard at that striker position, and I'd have Emmanuel Dennis at that winger position because when he played on the wing, that's where he got all his goals for Watford. But other than that, guys, thank you very much for watching. I am JC from Eagle Eye Football. Please put in the comments below who you want me to cover next week, as there only is one more episode. That will come out on the Thursday, and the day after will be the deadline day stream. So guys, check out, we've got a lot of stuff ready for you. And yes, guys, me JC from Eagle Eye Football. We'll see you next week. Up the Palace. Eagles!